But most people will lie, steal, and cheat if they think they can get away with it. But the selfish person refuses to lie, steal, and cheat, even if he thinks he can get away with it.
Like stealing and cheating is evolutionarily a good idea, because like if you were in a tribe and somebody had a bunch of shit and you wanted some of that shit and it would help you survive, then you were gonna go steal some of that shit.
I don't know why you want to steal manure for human waste.
You know what I mean? Don't get semantic theory. That's
well, you're in college now. Try to express yourself.
I mean, but you can follow those. You can follow those morals without necessarily following a religion.
Religion does not equal morals.
I don't steal and cheat.
Well, here's one thing. We all have told our lies. We probably all have cheated people.
Yeah.
We probably all have stolen something. So we need to get our sins forgiven. And the sins are not just against people you lied to and cheated, but it's against God. And that's where Jesus comes into the picture. He's the one that can forgive us, and he atoned for our sins on the cross, so that God could wisely and justly offer the salvation to those that believe. And what is heaven? It's essentially an eternal loving relationship with God. Hell, on the other hand, is essentially eternal separation from God. See, we weren't designed to live selfishly. That's the root of all bad behavior. You know that. There's not a person among us who's not condemned selfishness in others. But don't we all have a tendency to overlook or excuse our own selfishness?
It's because it's human nature to be selfish. Humans are self-serving creatures.
No, it's not.
That's survival of the fittest.
If it was human nature, yes, if it was human nature, Megan, if it was human nature to be selfish, you wouldn't have this sense of guilt when you've done something selfish.
That's because of societal pressures.
Society that's put it. When I was a kid, before I had been told that lying was bad, if I lied, I didn't feel guilty about it. When I got told that it was bad and I could get in trouble for it, I started to feel guilty. I started to I didn't want to get in trouble.
Everything someone does is essentially self-serving. Like, even if somebody dies, you cry because you're sad. You don't cry because the person died. You cry because it upset you, right? So everything a human does is selfish, is self-serving, and is self-centered.
There's nothing selfish about crying when someone dies.
That wasn't the point. The point was everything you do.
It's not selfish.
It is, though.
Oh, it's not.
It's not a bad selfishness.
You may rejoice that if they're Christians, they're in heaven. And you might rejoice over that. You're sorry because you missed their company and so on. That's not being selfish. That's showing you cared about the person.
It can be selfish without being bad, though.
Sometimes it can be just purely selfishness. A lot of people cry at death because they're reminded that they're going to face death. And that's what they're crying over. Life is short. You find that. And you know you're not ready to meet your maker.
Life is the longest thing you're going to experience as a conscious being.
That is a viable...
Oh, look, see, your consciousness is your soul. Your soul doesn't die. The soul leaves the body. Your sense of self-consciousness, your mind, your rational faculty, your will, your personality, that leaves the body at death. It goes on forever. Yes, the body turns back to dust. But then the Bible promises there's going to be a resurrection of the body. And the body will rejoin the soul, and you'll be judged. If you're not a Christian, you'll be sent to hell. That's what Jesus taught.
Why would you need the body to rejoin the soul if the soul has everything? What's the purpose of the body coming back to the soul?
The body is the vehicle by which we, express our soul.
But why do we need to express ourselves if our body doesn't mean anything except for...
I'm saying it does mean something.
What does it mean?
It's very significant. We all take care of our bodies.
Which is an egocentric pursuit.
You often express love physically. In marriage, you express it physically.
We're not.
We're not in marriage, or not.
See, the mind, you have a brain and then you have a mind. You play a guitar. Mm-hmm. The guitar is like your brain. But that guitar is nothing without you playing it, without the player.
That's false.
And what's it doing? It might be nice to look at, I guess, but that's about it. You gotta have a player.
It's a means of expression.
And I could take that guitar; it sounds terrible.
That's a bad comparison, though, because you're saying that my body is the same thing as a guitar.
It's a
basically.
Comparison. It's not exactly the same. I'm giving an analogy. An analogy is not something that's exact. Yes.
Because the body can function without much thought. Look at half the people on this campus.
Oh, we got something there. But you're just physical bodies, most of you. See, you don't use your bodies for the glory of God. You use your hands, meant a lot of you to steal. Or you use a hand to bring healing through a surgeon or something like that. We want to use our bodies for the glory of God. You just use your bodies for some sort of sexual gratification. But you're supposed to use your body, your sexual organs, to conceive life. That was
So
designed for.
conception is
why
the
do we
only
get pleasure
purpose.
from it?
Not the only, the primary purpose.
If we weren't supposed to get, if we're not supposed to have sex for pleasure, then why do we get pleasure from it?
Yeah, it's all right to have pleasure from sex. That gives us. See, to have when you have sex, you might get a baby. That involves a lot of self-sacrifice.
Sex was made for
and
reproduction,
sorrow.
but also in
So
order to make
the
us
pleasure-
reproduce, it had to feel good. So
the pleasure
again,
is-
evolutionarily, sex makes sense because it feels
Pleasure
good.
is in giving us the incentive to procreate.
Then why does
See, most of these boys aren't going to marry you girls because you're giving them what they want without marriage.
That's not
You're
how
not giving
shit
anybody
works,
anything.
man.
You're in college now. We're not talking about manure.
I
You'll
mean-
learn to express yourself. You know, show
If you could-
show me
okay,
you're
listen.
using your mind.
If you could make a knowledgeable argument to me saying shit, then I would maybe possibly listen to something that you said is a viable thought instead of just throwing it away. However,
I've gotten the
dro-
attention
listen to
of
me.
hundreds of people today.
Listen to me. If you were dropping down to a 6-year-old's logic of, oh, he said shit, then like how am I?
Show
how
me
do
you got a
expect me to-
vocabulary. Yeah, it seems like your
Okay,
favorite word.
I pointed out the fact that you were using semantic theory to try and disprove.
Well, words mean something.
Words mean nothing other than the assigned meaning that we give them.
Words express great ideas. You take a vocabulary test in some English class and say, you don't have the right definition, you're going to flunk. We can say, well, I can make up my own word. What means whatever I want it to mean.
You can, as long as
I don't
other
think
people
any
are-
English professor is going to buy that.
As long as other people understand it, it doesn't matter what word you make up. Everything is etymologically the same.
You're right in the fact that words have meanings and definitions, and words also have
You don't know what that
connotations.
means. It's a made up shit.
Connotation
Yeah,
is
it's
the
like
part
a
that's
blue
going to change,
dictionary.
and if I choose to
That's
express
rude.
myself in words that maybe have a bad connotation for you, that doesn't necessarily mean it has the same meaning
Well,
for
you're
me.
using it because you don't
Super
have
Bowl
bad
before
connotation.
her concert.
We're talking about vital things. We're talking about heaven or hell, and it's evidently it's just a bunch of manure to you. But you're going to
okay.
face death, and you're going to think differently.
We believe that you believe all of this. We just don't believe that it's true. So like we understand that this is a reality for you, but it's not for everyone else.
What is truth?
The truth is what is.
Reality.
Yes.
Okay. The reality is you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would say
yes,
that's an
yes,
accurate
that's
statement.
What happens after death, if anything?
We don't know.
How do you know?
Because
How do you
nothing
know?
happens.
Okay,
I
how do you know?
can appeal to authority.
Show me a
The
proven
Bible to
thing
back
about
me up.
something that has
I
happened
can
after
appeal
death.
to
Appeal to
the fact.
authority
This
isn't
is
I
sound
can
probably
appeal to the
hallucination.
fact of Jesus' resurrection from the dead.
You weren't
Just because you
you
don't
there?
know what's
Were
going
you
to
there?
happen
Like,
doesn't mean that you can
were
make
you
it.
Jesus?
We can't actually.
Were you Mary Magdalene? Who cares?
Yeah, and all the churches in town testified to his resurrection from the dead.
The thing is,
Now, this
though,
young man,
all of that is
have you met
speculation.
Jesus? He's testifying to his resurrection. 75 years old. Have you met Jesus?
Amen.
Testify to his resurrection. I suspect a lot of you have people in your families that have met Jesus. He's risen from the dead. Our faith is maybe the best evidence most of you have ever been confronted with to the claims of Christianity.
However,
It's
you
most
can't
so-called Christians are ashamed of their testimony.
You can't make any like solid statements about afterlife because all that's speculation. So you have to leave that out if you're going to make any sort of debate about religion.
It's
Like everything's based on assumption, but that's based on more assumptions than us.
it's all faith, and that's your faith, and it's your faith.
It's a faith based upon knowledge, evidence, and reason.
Your
What
no,
is
it's
knowledge?
a faith based upon the Bible, which while your faith tells you that it is the word of God, scientifically was written by man.
It's based partially on the Bible, not totally on the Bible. I told you, I've met Jesus personally.
Okay, so
I know people that have never read the Bible, or even I know people that can't read who know Jesus Christ.
When did you meet Jesus?
No,
I'm so
I
glad
forgot
you
to read
asked.
this.
I started to tell that story and got interrupted.
Are you